Coming up on today's edition of Philadelphia Eagles Now, my name is Chase Sr. I'm going to explain why Eagles fans have gotten a triple dose of great news over the last couple of days. A lot of really exciting developments for this football team as we look ahead to the 2025 NFL season. And speaking of the start of a new year for Philadelphia, if you're excited for the regular season to get underway, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Show me that you're amped up for this football team to hit the field for some games that actually matter in the win-loss column. We're sitting here recording this show on Monday evening, August 18th. Regular season is going to be here before we know it. It's right around the corner. Eagles-Cowboys, Thursday night, September 4th at Lincoln Financial Field. I am so pumped up. If you're with me, like the video right now. Going into the offseason, we had three marquee questions for this football team, right? Who steps in at the safety position after the Eagles traded away CJ Gardner-Johnson, and who would start alongside Reed Blankenship? All right. Who plays linebacker next to Zach Bond after he had a first-team All-Pro season and was a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year because Nakobe Dean not going to start the year with Philadelphia. He's going to go on PUP. Also, and lastly, for this series of three questions, who starts opposite of Quinyon Mitchell at cornerback, and who will rise up to be cornerback number 2? Well, over the last few days, have we gotten answers to all of those questions? Let's dive in here, and let's begin with the safety position. The highlight of Saturday's game, preseason week 2 against the Cleveland Browns at the Link, there were a lot of lowlights, and that game was pretty difficult to get through. But it was Andrew Mukuba's 75-yard pick six off Dillon Gabriel that served as the biggest play of that game, rookie versus rookie crime. And it was that play that I imagine Vic Fangio watched in person, and he said, that's exactly what I wanted to see from our second-round pick, 64th overall out of Texas. He's been waiting to see one of these safeties run away with that job. It may have been Andrew Mukuba who did that on Saturday afternoon. In that game against Cleveland, he's pretty much flawless. He played awesome after he did not play in the first preseason game because he was coming off that shoulder injury. He dressed, but the medical staff didn't want him out there. He earned a 95.7 Pro Football Focus grade, a passer rating allowed of 15.3. He had the pick six, but on top of that, he had a fumble recovery, 0 missed tackles. And I've said this a few times, but it's important to reiterate this because the Eagles traded away CJ Gardner-Johnson, who with Philadelphia and throughout his career has been a ball hawk. He's been able to make plays on the rock consistently. Well, the Eagles drafted Andrew Mukuba, who has a very similar game to CJ Gardner-Johnson and is also a ball hawking, sniff out where the rock is going, where it is type of safety. And they're hoping that Mukuba can replace that production from CJ Gardner-Johnson after he got traded to the Houston Texans. And Mukuba last year at Texas, 11 pass breakups, 5 interceptions, and the lowest passer rating allowed among safeties in college football for that Texas team that made a nice little run in the college football playoff. And I want to step aside for a little bit of a film study here because I love everything about this play from Mukuba. Being able to finish the play with the 75-yard pick six, but the feel, the instincts, and the diagnosing skills that we saw from Mukuba on this pick six. So as you can see here, Mukuba is playing deep safety. And you have Dillon Gabriel under center. You have a receiver to the left, receiver to the right, running back in the backfield, and you have a tight end, maybe even 2 tight ends, to the right of the right tackle. All right, as we go to the next sequence in this play, you see Andrew Mukuba lock eyes with this wide receiver here. But this is part of the feel and the diagnosing skills that I talk about. Because Mukuba knows that he has a DB here in that secondary who's going to be able to handle this Cleveland Browns receiver. And so Mukuba is going to pass this receiver off because he knows he has some help here. Then we go to the next play where Mukuba, or the next sequence of this play, where Mukuba notices this receiver on a crosser. And then here you see that Mukuba's teammate able to pick up that other Browns player. So Mukuba starts to dart upfield. And at this moment, he's starting to lock eyes with Dillon Gabriel, who at this point had rolled to his left. And Dillon Gabriel, as I called this play in real time, wanted the shot play, wanted to take the top off of the defense. He couldn't. That is sticky coverage here right around the goal line. So what did Mukuba do? He knew that Gabriel couldn't go long. So he shot upfield, and look at his ability to sift through a couple of Cleveland Browns here, go through traffic, pick this pass off, and then you obviously go to the final photo here. During our film study, that's a house call. Pick 6 for Andrew Mukuba. So starts off at that deep safety spot, is with one Browns receiver. Notice that he got help, passes him through. The guy who was on the crosser, Mukuba then picks him up. Then he knows Gabriel has nothing downfield and goes to the shorter option, picks that pass off, goes through a couple of Browns players in order to pick that pass off, made Gabriel miss because he cut it inside. It took it to the crib, and in the process, showing off that 4.4 speed. That is veteran type of stuff right there from the Eagles rookie. And we know Vic Fangio is an old school guy. He knows and wants his players to be on their P's and Q's. He knows that Mukuba did that. And what happened today at practice, right after that preseason game, after an off day on Sunday? Andrew Mukuba getting first-team safety reps when Cooper DeJean was outside playing the cornerback spot. So it's really good to have Mukuba developing and do this in his first professional game. And I'm not taking anything away from Sidney Brown. Like, I like him on this team too. He can contribute on special teams. He gives you that physical, thumping, hard-hitting safety. I just think Andrew Mukuba is a little bit better, and he gives you more on that back end. And so it's good to have these two young safeties developing in Mukuba and Sidney Brown, because safety depth is what I meant to say there, is always very important. So, who starts week 1? Is it going to be Mukuba? Is it going to be Sidney Brown? Let me know down in the comment section right now by typing AM or SB. Get your predictions in. If I were to guess right now, I think it's going to be Andrew Mukuba, whose football chops impressed a lot of people at Texas. We saw those football chops translate to the game field on Saturday against Cleveland. And so that first question that I posed today's show with and started off today's show with, who steps in at safety after the CJ Gardner-Johnson trade? Looks as though your second-round pick is making a lot of progress there. We still have 2 questions to tackle that may have been solved over the last couple of days. That's all part of our triple dose of great news that Eagles fans are receiving. Stay tuned for that. And today's Philadelphia Eagles Now is brought to you by Prize Picks. We're so excited to have them back for the 2025 football season. Preseason football is underway. College football is here. So don't miss any of the action this season on Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game. In fact, the #1 fantasy sports app. You can win big up to 2,000 times your money. Join right now by going to prizepicks.com/CLNS. It's available in 45 states. And ladies and gentlemen, this is easy and exciting daily fantasy. Who are you most excited to watch this year? Well, this Eagles team is loaded. Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts. This Eagles defense, they are locked and loaded once again for 2025. And Prize Picks, very simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. Are you kidding me? Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. It's a great deal. And you get $50 instantly when you use our link, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Here's how it works. We have a 3-pick power play here, and we also have some Monday Night Football. Sam Hartman, let's go with more than 85.5 passing yards. Great hair, great beard. It just works out. Taj Brooks, more than 31.5 rushing yards. And then as we look ahead to the return of college football, Kansas State, Iowa State, Avery Johnson, Kansas State's quarterback, more than a half passing yard. That is the special that PrizePicks has to offer. Number one fantasy sports app. Win big up to 2,000 times your money. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Going to put that link down below in the show notes and attached to the pinned comment of today's Eagles Now. All right, we move forward on today's show. This Eagles rookie, steadily improving and impressing. Of course, we're talking about Eagles first-round pick in Jihaad Campbell. Today at practice on this Monday, getting first-team reps in team drills alongside Zach Bond. And Zach Berman covering the Birds for The Athletic with this observation here, a day I've been waiting to see, and let's be real, all of us have been waiting to see, Zach Bond, Jihaad Campbell together in team drills. This is a preview of what's to come this year, and it adds a new dimension to the Eagles defense for 2025. It does. Jihaad Campbell, Zach Bond, both very similar players with their ability to drop back in coverage, plug holes against the run, and serve as blitzers and edge rushers. That's really where this off-ball inside linebacker position is going in today's NFL, and both of those players can be used as Swiss Army knives here in 2025. I am so excited to see what a linebacker duo of Campbell and Bond can accomplish here this year as Campbell continues to progress and develop and improve as a rookie. Now, some of you might take this as a knock on Jeremiah Trotter Jr. It is not at all. I really like Axeman Jr. as a player. He has had a really good training camp up until this point. He has led the Eagles in tackles in both of the preseason games. He plays with good feel. He plays with good football smarts. But there was a reason he was a fifth-round pick and why Jihaad Campbell was a first-round pick. They are not the same as far as athletes go, potential and ability. And I think that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. can serve as a great depth piece for this Eagles linebacking core for a long time. I think that he can even start for the Eagles in week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys and be an impactful player. But Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is not Jihaad Campbell. And when you watch these two play, you see the wow factor with Jihaad Campbell. And we've seen it in the preseason. I mean, the first play that he's on the field in the preseason opener makes a tackle. He finishes by throwing the offensive player into the ground, nearly had an interception. Vic Fangio in the second preseason game dialed up a blitz for Jihaad Campbell. He's able to get to Dylan Gabriel. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is very steady. He's very consistent. He is a high football IQ type of player, and he makes up for his lack of athleticism compared to Campbell with those football smarts, being able to sniff out plays, be in the right place at the right time. But Jihaad Campbell, going into this draft, was looked at as maybe and probably the best off-ball linebacker in the 2025 draft class. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. was never that in the 2024 draft class. And this Eagles defense just becomes better, and the potential for it becomes greater when Jihaad Campbell is on the field. So it might not happen in week 1, but the Eagles have put Jihaad Campbell to the test. He has been a star throughout training camp. In the preseason, he's shown a lot of flashes. Vic Fangio has put a lot on his plate, and he's been able to pass those tests with flying colors. Our third great development here. 2 Monday nights ago, Howie Roseman traded for cornerback Jakorian Bennett, who last year, among corners with 450-plus snaps, was one of the best corners in football as far as ball production, sticky coverage. He has 4.3 speed. He shut down some of the top wideouts in the game. He held up very well in coverage, and he's done that really his first 2 years. Now, you have some concerns. He's had a shoulder injury in each of his first 2 years in the NFL, and so that's a little bit of a problem. But what you want to see from him is him making strides, trying to learn this defense, and Vic Fangio clearly wanted to put him to the test. He wanted to see more from Jakorian Bennett to see if he can start opposite of Quinyon Mitchell and claim that cornerback 2 role. And Vic Fangio's actions, very telling. because Bennett played in 7 of 11 series in that game against Cleveland. Got a lot of run. And this is why the Eagles made that move so early as compared to just before the year, because they want to see him improve. They want to see him emerge. They want to see him learn this defense, get acclimated with all of the moving parts as far as personnel, his teammates, and this scheme. And Jakorian Bennett showed a lot of improvements just in that game against Cleveland alone, let alone what he's done since the Eagles traded for him. He's been on this fast track, and he's done a pretty good job of learning very quickly. One of the plays that really impressed me, he chased down the wide receiver on a deep cross, going step for step with him, showing off that 4.3 speed to get the pass breakup. In practice, the joint practice against Cleveland on a very similar play and route, he gave up a touchdown on that play. That is like day over day improvement right there from Jakorian Bennett. And there was also another play where he had a very sound tackle on an underneath route to keep that Cleveland Browns play to about 5 yards. What did Keely Ringo struggle with? Tackling, throttling down, having ball skills, lateral speed, making plays on the rock. Vic Fangio clearly has question marks about him. That's why he started to get fewer first-team reps, whereas Adoree Jackson has started to get more. And look out for Jakorian Bennett to maybe claim some of those snaps as well. So I thought that Bennett was the most impressive cornerback for this Eagles team in the second week of the preseason. The faster that he learns, the faster that he progresses, the better that he gets, the better it is for this football team, because he's starting to come along, and that's what you want to see from a recent trade acquisition. And so 3 big question marks for the Eagles defense going into 2025. We may have found answers to a lot of those questions here over the last couple of days. Now, of note, while Cooper DeJean did get reps at outside corner, Vic Fangio said today the plan as of right now is to not put him there full time. Eagles just wanted to get a look at him out there to see how he held up. Didn't really get a lot of opportunities because Kevin Patullo didn't really have plays or throws go in his direction. So did the Eagles find those answers to those 3 big questions? Let's hope so, because this is an Eagles defense that has to replace more than 4,000 snaps lost from a year ago, and they're doing it on the fly. They still have some time, but the regular season debut is going to be here before we know it. Eagles Now Legends, if you're still hanging out, watching the show, give me a real one down in the comment section. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe.